We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you back to the show that's hot with your boy Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents, baby. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is good. Hope everybody is great. Hope you guys had a productive weekend, had a great weekend, a relaxing weekend, and got yourself prepared for this Monday, Tuesday, for the people that's going to be watching the podcast when I premiere the episode. Hope you guys have a great start of the week and hope you finish strong at the end of the week. As for me, I am tired right now. Let me tell you guys, man, been up since 4 this morning. Neocon has begun, which is, like I mentioned on my last episode, the largest trade show that we do for the Merchandise Mart here in Chicago, which is pretty much the sale of office equipment, office furniture, a big commercial industry type show. And let me tell you guys something, to get to this point, it was long and grueling, but we do what we do. We solve problems and we get the job done. A great first day of the show. As I mentioned, I'm dead tired. Didn't have off this past weekend, so pretty much been working through last week, working through the weekend, getting prepared for this moment. And now that Neocon is here, we can finally kind of, take a deep breath of fresh air. But it ain't over until it's over. So we definitely got to make sure we stay focused and stay on the task at hand. However, I'm even more tired because I have to do my show. Man, I mean, if you want to talk about getting pushed to do something, I had to push myself to do this show. I really wanted to come home and lay down, and I laid down for about 20 minutes, and I just didn't feel right. You got to put the work in, because right now somebody else has a podcast and they're up doing their thing, and they probably had a longer day than me. So we got to get the job done. And week 4 in the NFL, that was the theme. Getting the job done. I mean, we saw some great games this past Sunday in the NFL. I mean, preseason basketball started. We saw the Brooklyn Nets versus the Lakers. And nothing too much to talk about with that game. As you know, only one star came to play, which was Anthony Davis. The Lakers got blown out by the Brooklyn Nets, but I saw some promising things from both sides of the spectrum. So definitely can't wait for the NBA season to get up and running. But as I mentioned, right now, we are in football season. We are in football time. The weather's starting to change. It's starting to get chilly outside. It's starting to feel like football weather, y'all. And we saw some great games. And I want you guys to, grab your cup of coffee, have a safe commute if you're listening to this while you're on the road. Tune in to the hottest sports conversation in the nation with your boy Rob Scott. Let's get right into it. Because if we're going to talk about the NFL, and if we're going to talk about the great games that we saw this past Sunday, we have to talk about the primetime game, Sunday night's game, in which we saw the GOAT, TB12, if you don't know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the living legend known as Tom Brady, make his return back to where it all started, made his return back to New England to face off against his former coach, his Robin, as you will. You don't know who to call Batman, don't know who to call Robin. I know who I'm calling Batman. I'm calling TB Batman. But against his former coach, against his Robin, against his partner in crime, Bill Belichick, Coach Bill Belichick. Let me show the proper respect. And it was a chess match, y'all. It started from the moment Tom Brady entered the field. Let me tell you something about you New England fans. That was real slick what y'all pulled. They gave the man, okay, I knew Robert Kraft, was going to honor Tom Brady. That was his boy, somewhat of a son-like figure to Robert Kraft. And, they gave him the video montage, the video tribute before the game started, which he deserves it. He deserves every cheer, every video accolade, everything New England wants to give to Tom Brady that's positive. He deserves. I mean, we're talking about a guy who led this team to 9 Super Bowls. He won 6 of them. We know the two losses against the Giants, and then the aberration we saw when Nick Foles leading the Philadelphia Eagles with defeat over the New England Patriots. But Tom Brady led this team to 9 Super Bowls. Now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to make 1 Super Bowl, let alone go to 9 with one team and win 6 of them. That's the legend known as Tom Brady and Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick being the head coach of the team, and Tom Brady being the coach on the field. They had a nice tandem going on, and it was just weird to see them on opposite sides of the ball pretty much playing chess against each other. It was a rainy day. And I got to get back into the New England fans, because after the video montage, Tom Brady runs onto the field. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get introduced. You see all of these fans with TB12 jerseys on, of course, New England's song with Buccaneers. And you guys cheer him. You think y'all slick. You cheer him. I mean, you see Tom Brady's amp. He misses that crowd. He misses his fans in New England. And the moment the game starts, here came the boos. And I respected that so much from New England's fans. I loved every minute of it, even though I'm a Tom Brady fan. That was calculated, New England. I mean, I love that spirit of competition. Tom Brady comes onto the field, you show him love. Tom, good to see you. How's the family? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication to this team. Thank you for leading us to the promised land 6 times. Well, leading you to the promised land 9 times and winning 6 of them. Thank you, Tom. And the moment that whistle blew and that ball was kicked off, all right, Tom, we love you, but you ain't a Patriot no more. Boo! I rocked with New England for that. But it was a great game. It was a rainy day, sad day in New England to see Coach Belichick have to play against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Let's talk about it. Let's look at the Patriots side of the ball. Mac Jones had a great game. I mean, he's still a young quarterback, but the rookie came to play. And some might even say that he outplayed Tom Brady. I mean, we look at him. He was 31 of 40 on pass attempts, 2 for 275 yards in the air, threw for 2 touchdowns, had 1 sloppy interception, but he didn't let that deter his confidence. Had no running game at all. I mean, the highest leading rusher was Nelson Aguilar, and he had 1 carry for 4 yards. I mean, Brandon Bolden had no yards. J.J. Teller had no yards. Mac Jones had -1 yards in the rushing game, and Damian Harris had -4. I mean, the rushing game was non-existent, and pretty much besides Jacoby Myers, who had 8 receptions for 70 yards, really no threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, have a depleted defense. I mean, they have some guys that's on the shelf right now, and lost some guys in the game, notably Devin White, who has a concussion and and is now in concussion protocol. So I mean, I don't see him being out longer than a few weeks, but still, to an already depleted defense, you don't want to see any more injuries. I mean, if we look at the fact that they just signed Richard Sherman to a deal with the Buccaneers. Richard comes out and says it's gonna take at least a few weeks. Mind you, this guy has not played football in 6 months. He was sitting on his couch. He was watching the games from the fan perspective at home. And he gets the call. He gets signed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a week ago. Makes a statement saying that it's gonna take him a few weeks to get his football legs right. The Buccaneers defense is so depleted. Who do we see out there on the field starting as cornerback? Richard Sherman. So that tells you alone how depleted this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is, and Mac Jones tried to take advantage of it, putting 17 points on their head. But if we look at the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, yet again, too many pass attempts for my liking, as he was 22 of 43, threw for 269 yards, but he had no touchdowns. This is the first time in a while that we've seen Tom. I believe this was the first time since he played Drew Brees and those boys and the Saints that he threw for no touchdowns. Now, in his defense, he also didn't turn the ball over. So kudos to Tom for showing excellent ball security. But I mean, he really had an average okay day by his standards. Luckily, he had Leonard Fournette, who had 20 carries for 91 yards. And even though he was without his boy Gronkowski, he still had Mike Evans, who had 7 receptions for 75 yards. Antonio Brown had 7 receptions for 63 yards. So the Buccaneers came to play. And they were able to score 19 and defeat the New England Patriots with the final score being 19-17. I mean, it was a hard-fought game, very good chess match. Bill Belichick showing what he does best. Coach up the defense, running different schemes, tricking Tom Brady, making sure Tom Brady doesn't feel comfortable. In the second half, defense finally started to lock in, started to get some pressure on Tom Brady. But Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does, and that's make plays when he needs to. I mean, we look at Tom Brady, who was facing the third down. The man ran for 6 yards. We're talking about one of the slowest quarterbacks in the National Football League. We're talking about a guy who's 44 years old, scrambles for his life for 6 yards, and gets the first down, and just the look of glee on his face. Like, I did that. Did I do it? I did that. Tom Brady did that. And Tom Brady just continues to win, no matter what. You know how the song goes. But it was a great moment after the game to see Coach Belichick and Tom Brady hug each other. We know that the beef is not over. Coach Belichick wants to win. And I'm pretty sure Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl before he did, especially winning the Super Bowl your first year with another team, yeah, that would leave a sour taste in anybody's mouth. But right now, New England has some problems. They can't score enough. The defense is okay, but they can't score enough. And you're going to want to get some help from Mac Jones, because I think you have a budding star in the young quarterback, in the rookie. He made some excellent throws out there, looked very confident, looked very sure of himself. It was great to see that performance from Mac Jones. But as for Tom Brady, he continues to make history. We already knew that at 591, he has the most touchdown passes ever in NFL history, which Drew Brees is second on that list. And Tom Brady decided to make Drew Brees second on another list, which is the all-time passing yards, with Drew Brees, who was sitting at 80,358. Tom Brady is now at 80,359. So now Tom Brady holds the record for most passing yards thrown in an NFL career in NFL history. And that number is only going to continue to go up as Tom Brady is still an active player actually speaking on playing until he's 50, actually speaking on not retiring after this year, and also one of the front runners to win the Super Bowl yet again. Tom Brady, man, continues to shine, continues to do his thing. It was great to see him get that win against Bill Belichick. I actually think Tom Brady is going to become more deadlier now that he got that monkey off his back. Because now Tom Brady can say that he's the only quarterback, the only player in the NFL to have beaten all 32 teams. Tom Brady, man, recognize the legend of this man while we still have him. Give him his flowers while we still have him. Because I promise you, I do not see any other professional NFL player having the career that Tom Brady has had. Kudos to you, Tom. Continue to break those records. Continue to push those boundaries. Continue to show people it ain't over till it's over, baby. Yet again, Tom Brady on top with the W. And speaking of W, let's talk about it. Because my Chicago Bears was able to pull out a W this past Sunday, even though it was against the woeful Detroit Lions. The Bears were able to defeat the Detroit Lions 24-14, but that's not what I'm excited about. I'm excited about seeing what this kid, Justin Fields, can do. And let me tell you guys something. The kid is good. Justin Fields is a stud. I mean, if we look at some of the past plays that he made this past Sunday, I mean, the kid was out there doing his thing, getting 75 yards here, 20-something odd something yards here. I mean, pushing the ball downfield, being a real threat to get the ball moving downfield very, very quickly. Justin Fields played an outstanding game. He was 11-17 from passing attempts, 209 yards in the air. No touchdowns and threw for one bad interception. However, by his standards, considering the game that he played against Cleveland last week, this was a great bounce back game for the kid. Now, the win did not come without a cost because the Bears lost David Montgomery to a hyperextended knee, at least for the next few weeks, according to what the MRI said today. David Montgomery had a beastly game yesterday. 23 carries for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns, just leading the charge for the Bears. Touchdown machine, scoring on tough runs, running through people, dragging people, carrying people. David Montgomery could not be stopped on Sunday, and I just feel bad that after getting that momentum, now he has to sit down, and try to bounce back after a few weeks, after he's back healthy, to get back on the field. I mean, the man had a great game. David Montgomery proved his worth. That offensive line finally stepped up. If we look at the Bears' coaching situation, Bill Lazor, who's the offensive coordinator for the Bears, as we know, he used to be former quarterback coach for Philadelphia. He's worked with the Washington football team. I mean, this guy's been in the league for a long time, and actually, back in 2020. He was doing the play calling for the Bears when the Bears were pretty successful. Matt Nagy decided that he wanted to take back over the reins of the team, and then the Bears began to suck again. And according to Coach Matt Nagy, I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful. According to Coach Matt Nagy, I don't know how long we're going to be able to call him Coach, but according to Coach Matt Nagy, he gave the reins back to Coach John Lazor, and John Lazor drew up some plays that fit Justin Fields' game. A lot of play action, a lot of calling from the gun, a lot of rolling passes to let this kid use his athleticism. Gave him more blocking. Took some of those tight ends, put them on the line. Let's double some of these guys on the edge. Let's not let these guys get to our quarterback and protect him. They did, because the Bears only gave up for one sack in comparison to the 9 sacks that they gave up to the Cleveland Browns. Okay? Justin Fields had no fumbles, even though, well, he had a fumble, but it just didn't get recovered. And that's one thing that this kid has to work on. He has to work on his ball security. I've seen far too many times now in his short NFL career, sometimes he gets a little overzealous and he doesn't hold on to that ball properly like he needs to. Justin Fields needs to work on ball security, especially if you're going to be a mobile quarterback in the National Football League. Guys are going to be looking to punch and claw and get that ball away from you. You need to hold on to the ball and go down with it. And another thing Justin Fields needs to learn is don't try to make a play where there's no play to be made. But on the other hand, again, I say, the kid made some great throws yesterday, some exciting throws, some throws that I haven't seen from a Bears quarterback in a while. I mean, the Bears won once again against the Detroit Lions, 24-14. Not getting overly excited. That is the Detroit Lions, who is currently 0-4 in the NFL. I mean, this team is just horrible and has gotten even more horrible after letting go of Matthew Stafford. He's with the Rams now. And now they have Jared Goff, and they just cannot score the ball. Has a pretty decent defense. But the offensive side of the ball for the Detroit Lions is just not clicking right now. And I'm starting to see these are the reasons that the Los Angeles Rams went all in to get Matthew Stafford, to get a quarterback who can make the throws and make the plays that Jared Goff couldn't. Now, Chicago has a tough couple of games in front of them. They're going to be playing, I believe, Tampa Bay soon. Going to be playing the Las Vegas Raiders soon. They're going to be playing some teams that right now are playing some great football this new regular season. So the Bears will get a chance to test their skills. Let's hope that the Bears are able to capitalize. They're going to also be playing the Packers, our rival, and we know how it is when we got to see Aaron Rodgers. That's a bad man. The next out of the next 5 games I see the Bears playing, they should be able to hopefully beat the Steelers, and they should be able to beat the 49ers. But I do not see them beating the Raiders, the Buccaneers, or the Packers. But only time would tell. But my 2 cents on the matter as far as Justin Fields go, he deserves to start. We don't need to hear Coach Matt Nagy talking about if Andy Dalton is healthy, he's going to be the starter. No. This team wasn't built for Andy Dalton. It was built for Justin Fields. This is why you moved up in the draft to get him. This is why you only pay Andy Dalton minimum money, so that way you can have cap space to bring in some better players to go around Justin Fields. You wanted Justin Fields to be the leader of this team. Let him be the leader. The talk of this, let him watch, let him learn the game. No offense to Andy Dalton, but that ain't the guy you want to learn the game from. Okay? Again, I hate to restate this point, but he couldn't even get the Dallas Cowboys into the playoffs when it was gift wrapped for him to win the NFC East. Okay? So let's stop with the let's try to mimic what Pat Mahomes did with Alex Smith. Those are 2 different type of players that are on 2 different playing fields than Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Also, we saw a statement victory this past Sunday. The Arizona Cardinals went against the Los Angeles Rams. Both went into the game undefeated, sitting at 3-0. As we know, the Los Angeles Rams right now are the front runners to win it all. As I mentioned in the last segment, they went all in to get Matthew Stafford from Detroit to put around weapons like Deshaun Jackson, to put around weapons like Cooper Kupp, to put around weapons like Robert Woods. They went all in. Also, not to mention, do they possibly have the best defense in the league, led by the monster known as Aaron Donald. Arizona comes in. If we look at who Arizona has played so far this year, they haven't really beaten anybody. They beat the Titans, trash. They beat the Vikings, trash. And they beat the Jaguars, trash. So even though Arizona was undefeated, we didn't have a real good look at who this team could potentially be due to the talent that they were playing. And we know that the Rams made a statement victory against the Buccaneers, who some people think the Buccaneers are the favorite to win it all. So after that dominating victory by the Rams, a lot of people had the Rams being the team to beat in the NFC. And Arizona said, hold your horses. We come into play because they got a young quarterback whose name is Kyler Murray, who, like some of these new quarterbacks of today, can do it on both sides. He can run and he can pass. Kyler Murray is a tough player to play and is showing people like Lex Luger used to call himself back in the day, old little wrestling terminology, reference, if you guys don't remember, the total package. Kyler Murray had a game. But let's first look at what the Los Angeles Rams were able to do on their side of the ball. If we look at the Rams, Matthew Stafford, he had an okay game. He was 26 of 41. Threw for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Had a little help from Darrell Henderson, his running back, who had 14 carries for 89 yards. The usual suspects out there doing their thing. We saw Van Jefferson, 6 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 5 receptions for 64 yards. Robert Woods, 4 receptions for 48 yards and a touchdown. Usual suspects were there. They were able to keep a leash on Deshaun Jackson, as Deshaun Jackson only had 1 reception for 6 yards. So they made sure that deep threat was kept in check. And I'm not going to go that far because a lot of times D. Jack was just too fast for Matthew Stafford to throw him the ball when a lot of passes came short. But we got to show love to the Arizona Cardinals because they came out swinging. First of all, they stud running back Chase Edmonds, 12 carries for 120 yards, doing it real big. James Conner, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, also contributing on the run game, 18 carries for 50 yards, but 2 strong touchdowns. And then the big man, A.J. Green, a receiver, 5 receptions for 67 yards and 1 touchdown. But they had to have somebody throwing them the ball. And Kyler Murray showed up, showed out. 24-32 from the field, 268 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Also contributing with his feet, 6 carries for 39 yards on the ground. Kyler Murray getting the statement victory, keeping the Arizona Cardinals undefeated. That boy cold. Man, we got to keep our eyes on the Arizona Cardinals, man. I'm telling you guys, man. With a victory like that against the Los Angeles Rams, is nowhere else to go but up. Hopefully they can ride off that momentum. They got a tough couple of stretch of games coming up against them as well, as they're going to be playing Cleveland. They're going to be playing the Packers. They're going to be playing the Panthers. Hey, if you want to prove you're a champion with these next stretch of games, this is the time to prove it. Got a couple quick hitters for you before we end tonight's show. Manny Pacquiao officially announced his retirement. As we know, Manny Pacquiao, probably one of the best pound for pound fighters to ever lace up the gloves and step into a boxing ring. I mean, let's just read. The man was an 8 division champion, the only person to ever win a championship in 8 different divisions. He's defeated 22 world champions, including Juan Manuel Marquez, including Oscar Larios, including Timothy Bradley. I mean, the guy, including Keith Thurman. I mean, the guy has fought some people. Manny Pacquiao gave us a great career. I mean, the guy is definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. Who can forget the great fight that he had against Mayweather? Now, even though he had an excuse at the end of the fight saying he was pretty much fighting with one arm and he had tore his rotator cuff, I mean, it was still a great battle. It's just hard to beat somebody like Floyd Mayweather. But Pacquiao tried his shot, and like so many before him, failed to the undefeated man known as Money. But besides that, nobody can say that they've had the career that Manny Pacquiao have right now. Currently, a senator in his homeland in the Philippines. Manny Pacquiao had a record of 62. He had total 72 fights, 62 wins, 8 losses. Of those 62 wins, 39 came by way of knockout and also had 2 draws within his career. I hope Pacquiao was at peace. We know that he had just lost his last fight when he was expecting to fight Errol Spence. Spence caught an injury to his eye. Manny Pacquiao had to fight. I can't think of the guy's name right now. Forgive me for that, but he had to fight a guy, and of course, it didn't work out too well for Manny Pacquiao as he would lose that fight. I think he was by decision, just too much for him, and you can just tell that Manny Pacquiao, it was time to call it quits. So, hey, to brother Pacquiao, man, we appreciate, all the joys that you gave us, the ups and the downs. We appreciate the entertainment. We appreciate your dedication to your craft and being the ultimate winner within your sport. Hope you enjoy retirement. Good luck on your upcoming presidential run to try to become president of your homeland in the Philippines. And we wish you nothing but success for the latter part of your career. Keeping it in the world of boxing, though, on October 9th, this Saturday, or like I like to say, this Saturday, we gonna see Tyson Fury versus Wilder 3 as Deontay Wilder looks to try to reclaim his throne as the heavyweight champion of the world, trying to win back his WBC heavyweight title. Now, I know you guys heard me broke down this fight before. I mean, we remember the first fight, which was December 1st of 2018. Who can forget that epic duel between these two heavyweights in which it went all the way to the 12th round? In that 11th round with Deontay Wilder knocking out Tyson Fury, which, yes, it was a knockout. The referee took too long to count the count. Tyson Fury was down for longer than 10 seconds. However, Deontay Wilder able to deliver that blow, being the bronze bomber and putting Tyson Fury on his ass. Tyson Fury popped up like the Undertaker, finished that fight. The fight ended in a split, in a draw. I mean, these guys just put it all on the line. But we can tell from that fight that Tyson Fury was the more skilled of the two. I mean, even just looking at their record, if you look at Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury record, Tyson Fury is 29-0. No, sorry, he's 29-0 with one draw, and out of those 29 wins, 20 has come by knockout. But then we look at Deontay Wilder, who's 42-1-1 with 41 of those, with 42 of those victories. 41 came by way of knockout. I mean, Deontay Wilder either is going to knock you out or he's not going to win the fight. Because if we look at Wilder and Fury 2, that was a clinic put on by Tyson Fury. I mean, from the opening bell, Tyson Fury clearly showed that he outmatched Deontay Wilder in the boxing ring. He was the better fighter. He was the better boxer. He had more fundamentals than Deontay Wilder. I mean, if Deontay Wilder couldn't knock him out, I didn't see Deontay Wilder winning that fight. And the fight ended in the 7th round via TKO. While we seeing Wilder bleeding from his ear, we thinking his eardrum is busted. We thinking the man is about to lose his equilibrium. Tyson Fury just raining all these punches over this man and actually showing that Tyson Fury is a big dude, man. This is not no little guy. I mean, he was towering over Deontay Wilder, who ain't little himself. Tyson Fury just showing that he can outclass this man. And now we look ahead to October 9th, and unless Deontay Wilder has gotten skilled in a very short amount of time that it takes for a boxer to earn the type of skills that they need to be a heavyweight champion, I don't see the fight happening any different from fight 2. Now, let's hope Deontay Wilder doesn't come out with an Anubis costume that weighs 100 pounds and making him tired before he gets to the ring. But I just don't see it happening. And I love Deontay Wilder. Big fan of him. Watching him knock people out. Watching him just be the man with the golden hand. The bronze bomber. I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. But facts is facts. Tyson Fury can fight. He can box. He's more skilled than Deontay Wilder. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There is no reason for speculation. This is not an opinion. This is facts. Deontay Wilder needs to work on his skills as a boxer. Now, let's hope that, it can be a better fight than fight 2 because, as I mentioned, fight 2 was just an absolute clinic put on by Tyson Fury. And then in the other breaking news, we saw Anthony Joshua lose his titles to Alexander Usyk. I mean, Usyk won the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO heavyweight championships from Anthony Joshua in a decision. And I was watching that fight earlier. I mean, Usyk was all over Anthony Joshua. I mean, Anthony Joshua could not breathe. Usyk was just showed he wanted more. Anthony didn't look focused. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. It looked like he was overlooking Usyk. And Usyk said, no, I'm right here. You're going to look me in my face, and I'm going to take your titles. So now remember, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, this was a big anticipated fight because they were actually supposed to fight before Deontay Wilder spoke up and said, hey, no, I'm owed a rematch. And Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury kind of verbally agreed that they will fight each other to unify the heavyweight titles. So we know that Anthony Joshua is going to get a rematch against Usyk. But if he comes and fight the same way he did this past September 25th, it's going to be the same results. He's not going to win his titles back. And then he's going to be out of the heavyweight picture. So just some things to watch for in the world of professional boxing. And last but not least, I have to talk about this because it saddens me that we even have to talk about this. But there's a big question looming in the NBA over one team in particularly, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. As you know, they are in contract, well, not even contract negotiation. Ben Simmons has stated that he wants to leave this team. He does not want to come back. This past last season in the NBA, where he was judged not only by the star player of the team, but also the coach, it left a sour taste in his mouth, and Ben Simmons does not want to be a 76er anymore. Now, we already knew how Ben Simmons felt about playing alongside of Joel Embiid. He feels that Joel Embiid takes up his space for him to do what he wants to do because they both want to play inside of the paint. And let's just face it, we look at Joel Embiid, we're talking about a 7-foot monster here. We're talking about a guy that averages 28.5 points last year in the regular season, 10.6 rebounds. I mean, just a offensive juggernaut and also gives it to you on the defensive side as well when he's healthy, of course. And then we look at Ben Simmons, complete polar opposite. Averaged 14.3 points last year, 7.2 rebounds, but also with him being your playmaker, he gave you about 7 assists a game. So, of course, being in an organization like that, you're going to cater more to a Joel Embiid more than you would have Ben Simmons. But let's look at what Ben did one time when he didn't have Joel, who was out with one of his many injuries that he has throughout the year. Against the Utah Jazz, if we look, Ben Simmons had the game in his life, scoring 42 points on 15 of 26 shooting and even 12 or 13 from the free throw line, still giving you 9 rebounds, still giving you 12 assists, still giving you a block, still giving you a steal. I mean, and then we look last season, Ben Simmons was almost Defensive Player of the Year. He had to be second in the vote. I mean, the guy was everywhere. But what left the sour taste in Ben Simmons' mouth was, of course, we know in the playoffs, the Philadelphia 76ers, who was number 1 in the Eastern Conference, lost to number 7. I'm sorry, they were number 6. The Atlanta Hawks lost to them in a 7-game. Well, I think they only went 6 games. I can't even remember if they went 7. I just know that they couldn't stop Trae Young. And then when they did stop Trae Young, they couldn't stop the Atlanta Hawks as a team. And then we look in the game that we thought that the Philadelphia 76ers was going to win. Ben Simmons made an excellent spin move on Danilo Gallinari. And all he had was Trae Young right there. And instead of going up strong with the ball, he decided to pass it. And that left a sour taste in Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers' mouth. They looking like, why are you passing the ball? Dunk the ball. You don't pass it to Matisse Thybulle. You dunk the ball. After the game, they asked Coach Doc Rivers, they say, Coach, do you think you can win with Ben Simmons as your main ball handler? Now, according to Coach, when he said, I don't know, at this moment, he was just saying that he didn't want to talk about it. He wasn't saying that he didn't know that the 76ers can win with Ben Simmons being the primary ball handler for this team. That ain't what it sounded like to me. Sounded like you was losing confidence in your boy, but I'm going to give Coach the benefit of the doubt. But Ben Simmons felt that way, obviously, and then they asked Joel Embiid about the game, and he said he felt the tide turned, the tide changed when Ben Simmons passed up on the open dunk. And, there's certain things, especially as a head coach, that you don't say publicly. What you say is, yes, we can win with Ben Simmons. We're going to have to go back, watch some film, get better, and prepare for next season so we can make a deeper push in the playoffs. You don't say you don't know, because that's you leaving room for interpretation. And excuse me, but what that person might have heard might have sounded differently to me. And clearly what Coach Doc Rivers' intent in saying what he said was not the intent that Ben Simmons took out of that. And of course, it's one thing to hear Joel Embiid talk about you like that. But to hear your coach, to hear the person that's supposed to be the leader of this team, to hear the person that's supposed to be the foundation of this team talk bad about you, or you interpret that he spoke bad about you, yeah, you'll be ready to leave this team as well. So now everybody's trying to wonder, is Ben Simmons going to play? Now, he's currently under a 4-year contract, 4 or 5-year contract, so technically he has to come play. Excuse me. And according to the 76ers, some bonus money that he was supposed to get, well, they've taken $8 million of that, and they said that they're going to fine him of that money every time Ben Simmons does not show the training camp. Because under contract, he is supposed to be there playing for that team. So we don't know how this mess is going to play out in Philadelphia. It is getting very sloppy right now. I think they need to be trying to get rid of Ben Simmons. Hey, if you don't want to play here, you can't force somebody to be there that don't want to be there, because is that person really going to give you their all? Are they really going to put it all on the line for this team that they don't want to play for? It's a good question. Rob's 2 cents of the matter, let him go. Try to get something for him. I'm not saying let him go for nothing, but Portland is looking real good right now, and you can use somebody like Dame Dollar who doesn't want to be in Portland, and you will also be out helping Coach Billups out by giving him something that he can work with if he's going to indeed lose Damian Lillard. Because let's just face it, when those contracts are up for both of those players, they're not going to be at their respective teams that they are right now for that much longer. Try to make a trade with Portland, or shop them around, try to get some money, try to get something for Ben Simmons, but don't let him go for nothing. And I don't see the reason of holding on to a player that doesn't want to play for your franchise. I understand the talent, but sometimes is the talent worth the headache? Good question to ask. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for sticking around with your boy, man. You know I love talking sports. I can talk sports all day. Man, y'all reach out to me. Whoever want to come guest star on the show, let me know. I would love to debate and talk shop with you, man. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. Remember, you can see this on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. I'm on all social media platforms, not to mention the Rewind Sports 60 Roku channel. Appreciate that, brother Jerry Rouse. I love you guys, man, as always. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Continue to set your achievable goals. Remember to plan them out. Remember to think about them, dream about them. And then you go out into the world and then you execute, my good people. I ain't got nothing but love for y'all. I appreciate your positive energy, and I hope you feel the positive energy from me. Continue to be great, y'all. And y'all already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions, look past the delusions of grandeur, and look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you're staying for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we got